There was a little guy where I first sobered up in Auburn, Washington, in one of the halls there, and he used to say, "You don't get hit by the caboose, you get hit by the engine." To me, it means you get hit by the first drink, not the last one. It's the first one that gets you, the first one that all of us think we can take and be okay, that everything will be fine, and it never is.
I heard it through the grapevine. Welcome. It's the AA Grapevine half-hour variety hour featuring the collected voices of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm Sam, an alcoholic in Palm Springs, California.
And I'm Don, an alcoholic in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Donnie, Bonnie, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, Sam. You?
I'm all right. Fine as frog hair, but I said that a while ago. But, I can't make it not show up.
I know you're always thinking about combing that frog hair.
Very fine comb.
Sam, my wife, who's not in AA, she wanted to share the podcast with some of her non-alcoholic friends.
Okay.
The response she got, though, was, "I'm not interested. I heard AA is a religious program."
Oh.
There's no denying AA sprang from Christian roots, but we expanded our focus to embrace any conception of God. Religion is a belief in a specific doctrine, and we're self-defined. We do have religious members. I'm a Quaker. I went to a Quaker meeting this morning, but we have lots of atheists, agnostics, and secular members. AA is spiritual and not religious as a whole. We're open-minded. Here's the thing. This is what bothers me about it. Mindfulness and yoga have spread across popular culture. It's in TV shows in this most positive way, and in commercials. And I just see how it's changed over the last 10 years. To people react to it kind of positively. Why is AA not judged that way with a positive idea? So that's what bothers me.
Let go, Don.
I'm letting go, but...
No, I get it, and we had a Grapevine Daily quote a while back from a 2006 article called Tradition 5, What a Group Ought to Be. And it says, "We are not a sociological entity, although sociologists find us fascinating. We are not a therapy group, although remarkable healing takes place among us. And we are not a religion, even though some people want to see us as such. We are a spiritual entity."
It's confusing because we meet in churches. So many meetings are in churches.
And there's no doubt that the Christian roots still show up in how some groups start their meetings.
It's in our literature.
It is in the literature and in other ways that it does show up. But as an atheist, and I think it's important that I identify as that, I don't beat people over the head with it. It's not every part of every chair, but there are times that it's important that I identify as an atheist so that other people are like, oh, atheists can get sober too in this? Because AA, if you're not informed, can look like a religion. I totally get that.
Yeah.
If you are working with just an observation and a very distant observation of AA, it's very easy to see that it looks like a religion.
And lots of newcomers seem to come in with preconceived ideas about what AA is and what we are saying when we say surrender to a higher power, to God of your understanding.
Yeah. I came in, I had some tastes of AA, enough to know that it wasn't a religion, that it wasn't religious. And I came in and I let go of that. And though an atheist, what I was able to hear was that statement about choose your own conception of God. I don't have to believe in your higher power or your higher power or your higher power.
Yeah.
I don't have to believe in a higher power. And what has shown up for me over the years, again, because of this freedom that we have within AA to have our own understanding of a higher power, is I don't need to define it. I don't need to define what it is, what it isn't. I know that this thing that you mentioned earlier, this mindfulness and yoga, this spirituality that has shown up in popular culture over the past decade at least, maybe even longer. I have a spirituality today. I don't, again, need to define it. I just simply experience it. And what I know is that Alcoholics Anonymous, learning how not to drink and how to stay sober someone else's way, saved my life. And thank God, religion or my perception that it might be didn't get in the way of that.
Each of us has to find our own conception of a higher power. But the truth of the matter is, I couldn't quit drinking, and AA I knew had an answer. And I was able to do it and quit drinking. And in the process of working the steps, I discovered my own idea of what a higher power is. That is very real for me, so I don't have to question it. But somebody coming in new, just looking at it, I mean, a friend said, if it walks like a duck, maybe we can't fight that, but I wonder how we can be more intentional in our message that AA has a spiritual, not a religious answer to alcoholism.
Well, I recently read an article on this very topic somewhere. What was it? It was a little, about a 5x7-inch magazine. It's a new month. You know what that means?
I need to keep letting go, 1 month at a time. I mean, 1 day at a time.
Well, yeah, but the new Grapevine is here. The new Grapevine is here. Woo! This month, we share stories of experience, strength, and hope by our atheist, agnostic, and secular AA members. Our co-founder, Bill W., in a 1946 Grapevine wrote, "An alcoholic is a member if he says so. We can't force our beliefs or practices upon him. As Bill intended Grapevine to be a mirror of the fellowship, we hope these stories will shed some light on the joys and challenges of our secular AA members."
In the story, God or No God, an atheist shares how he embraced the program and found a home in AA.
In From Your Heart to Mine, a secular member says listening to one another's higher power through other people sharing is one of his biggest joys in AA.
A past chair of the General Service Board shares his thoughts about attending the first International Conference of Secular AA. The story is, we share common ground.
And a woman with a few years of sobriety learns that in AA there are so many ways to believe. Her story is the coffee god.
Well, the coffee god, my favorite Krusty the Old-Timer saying is, God is in the bottom of the coffee pot. Get in that kitchen and help clean up.
It's been a while since I've heard from Krusty.
So who's our guest today, Sam?
Well, Don, today's guest is the very author of The Coffee God. We'll be talking to Karen S. from Yakima, Washington. Her story is on page 25 of the August 2025 issue.
But first, the news.
Getting into general service. Ever been a GSR, a DCM, a delegate? Have you worked on area committees? Share the joys of doing this kind of service. It just might inspire others. Submit your story to the Grapevine at aagrapevine.org/share. Stories are due by September 15, 2025. Hi, folks. We need your stories on the individual traditions. Pick one and write about your or your group's experience with it. How has a tradition played a part in your life? How has your understanding of a tradition changed? What is a personal experience where a tradition played a part? Visit aagrapevine.org for guidelines and to submit.
Hi, my name is Karen S. I'm an alcoholic. I'm from Yakima, Washington. My sobriety date is September 15 of 2020. My home group is Chance for Change at the Alano Club here in town.
Welcome, Karen.
So glad you're here. I got to start off with a quick question about this. You wrote an article for the Grapevine. Now, have you
Yeah.
done this before?
Never.
Oh, this was your first one.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
First one I ever submitted anywhere.
So, what was it like to do this? What did you do?
I don't know. I just wrote from my heart things that I'd heard in AA and my own beliefs about a higher power and atheists and agnostics and how we all have our own journey and they're all valuable and they're all just different and unique depending on the person.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and write that and then sending it in. It's fantastic, and you're going to help people by having done that. But we're not here to talk about your story. We're here to get to know you. Karen, what was going on in your life that brought you to Alcoholics Anonymous?
Boy, I'm not even positive what it was that brought me to AA. I'd been a heavy drinker for some of the time in my teens and was a periodic drinker. So I was just back and forth drinking and not drinking. And one night I was getting ready to go to a party and I found myself climbing the stairs to an AA meeting. I really, believe that I was led there. And yeah, that was my first meeting. Except I got there after the meeting. I didn't know what time the meetings were, so I got
Ah,
there after the meeting.
were there still some folks?
There were people sitting around visiting, and I was really surprised. They all looked pretty normal. There were no bums with paper bags full.
It is different than our preconceptions. There must have been something going on that nobody goes to AA just as an experiment to check out what's going on with it. Had you heard about it before?
I'd heard about it before, yes, and I think what really brought me there was just feelings of despondency, of just purposelessness, a lot of fear, and just believing somehow that drinking was wrong, especially the way I was drinking. And I just wanted to be around people who didn't drink because I was beginning to believe that it wasn't a good idea for me because of all the sickness that I drank myself into, the blackouts. I was a periodic drinker, but whenever I drank, it was a disaster. And that's what scared me that night about the idea of going to a party was I was afraid of what would happen.
Well, being a periodic drinker, did that make it hard to decide to go to AA thinking, well, I really don't have a problem because I don't drink all the time?
When I got there and I heard people's stories, all I heard was differences.
Mm.
Something kept me going back, but I wasn't committed. I wasn't really thinking that I was one of you. And so I went in and out for years. Would get a couple years here and there and go back out, get a few months, go back out.
Where was the place that you weren't letting go, that the last time that you came in, you finally surrendered?
When I came back in, I just had no answers, empty, alone, afraid, despondent. I just had nothing. I was homeless, just nowhere to turn. And all I could think of was my time in AA and never had a whole lot of time. I knew it was better than what I had.
Was God an obstacle? The idea of God and religion and the things that sound so religious in AA?
In 1986, it did. I was an agnostic, very angry at God. And in 2020, when I came in, it was like I was beaten. And I knew that AA was the only place I could turn and find an answer, find a solution. I knew the solution was in AA. When I first came in, I thought to make the whole thing, spiritual thing, real, I had to somehow define it, to make it exist. And
Mm-hmm.
The longer I've been around, the more I realize that really isn't true. There's no defining my higher power. He's just, or it, or she, whatever, you want to call her. To me, my higher power can be found in the Bible, in the Quran, just wherever the person is drawn and gets a sense of something bigger outside themselves. And it's like nature really did it for me. That's where I turned my life and well over to my higher power, was out along a river up in the mountains, under the trees and listening to the river. It was like, gosh, there's something a whole lot bigger than me out here.
Nature was a big deal for me too, and one of the things was a very clear moment for me. I was driving to work hungover, and the moon was setting, the sun was rising opposite of each other as I was driving through a field, a road through a field, not just driving through a field, and.
Unlike your drinking days.
And there was this large bird that flew across the road right in front of me. And I realized in that moment, I was really appreciating nature, but I was appreciating it as something that was not a part of it.
The difference is admiring it from a distance, and suddenly the feeling that came over to me in a similar situation, as both of you have described, I'm a part of all of this. And that's being connected to something larger than myself. I mean, my sponsor was going, Don, he said, Don, there is a God and you're not it. In fact, he said, I can't prove that there is a God, but I think I can prove that you are not God, Don.
How true.
Yeah.
My idea of my higher power has really changed. It encompasses so much more than I ever imagined it would. And a lot of that comes from listening to people at meetings and just praying for an open mind.
Yes. God, I love that God, G-O-D, can be group of drunks. It really shows up beautifully that way. God shows up for me in people. I hear what I need to hear. People show up for me in ways that I never could have predicted. And I get to be that for other people. It's really one of the most perfect experiences of God that I get to have.
Karen, can you give an example of something in your life where you were told to let go at the very beginning there, or this last time that you came in, and you let go of a situation and found a way that the situation improved?
I think when I realized that I had to let go of other people's lives and decisions, I always thought my way was the best way. If you only did this or that, everything would be perfect for both of us.
Yes. Karen, is there anything that you experienced when you were working the steps that were just like, that's a lot? I don't know about that.
Making amends was the hardest for me. Being
Yeah.
willing to make amends. I think there was so much dysfunction in my childhood, and I was so angry at so much my family, and I made the amends I needed to the people, but my parents had passed away. The church that I belonged to still didn't feel right to me, and still doesn't, and I'm okay with that now. And there are times, when it still comes back, and I just have to pray and turn it over and just say, God, I want to let go of this. It isn't worth it to hang on, to be bitter, to hurt over it and go over it in my mind. Just, I get up and I do the next right thing, because that's what I've been taught here, is to let stuff go and do the next right thing, to pray for people. I know with a member of my family that I worked on, like in outside help and things like that, praying for him in the program, learning how to forgive and realizing that I don't have to forgive to the point that they're welcomed back into my life. If the relationship has been too toxic, I can pray for them, wish them the best. And I do. I did. I prayed for him to have not only what I wanted, but the things that are important to him. Sometimes when I'm quiet and praying, sometimes those feelings and that hurt will surface. And I think about that person or those people, and I think about the demons they must live with.
Mm.
And it hurts me, and I pray for them. I do.
Yeah.
That's a different perspective. That's a higher perspective.
Karen, you said something I think is really, it's been absolutely an important part of my recovery. And that is when I make amends to someone, it's not necessarily inviting them back into my life.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't for me.
I'm cleaning things up here because that's the right thing to do.
Right.
And quite frankly, because it's something I need to do in order for me to stay sober.
Yeah.
But I'm not looking for us to remain in contact, to have an ongoing relationship or renew a relationship. Now, that has happened. That has certainly happened for me, that relationships that were damaged did get repaired and got better. And we continued in relation with family and friends. But it's not always the case. Yeah.
And it's sad. There's a part of me that would love to have him back in my life, but there's so much bitterness, especially in his family and their feelings toward me, that I just got to let go and respect their feelings and just kind of let go and let God,
There was a period of time when I thought that when I worked the steps and completed them, then, I'd be well. Then I'd be fixed. And, I'd know what to do and things wouldn't come up.
As Alice puts it, life's gonna life.
Life is gonna life.
A big part of my amends, I have 3 children, and with my children, it's really been an ongoing living amends. And there are things that will come up in their behavior or in their words that really punch me. And it takes a while to realize the damage that I did to them and where they're coming from as far as their hurt and their pain. And they did have to back off and write me off for about a year or so before I sobered up. And they just said, Mom, we can't do this anymore. And still little things will come up in what they say and do, and it will be painful, and I'll want to react mean. Thank God I'm on a kind of a delay when it comes to stuff.
Yes.
So I don't respond badly at the time.
How do we get to this point? Is by practice that you mentioned earlier. So what is the practice that allows you to try to live in a place where I can respond in the way that I would like to respond rather than respond from out of my character defects?
I still struggle with that because the way that I was raised, my way was to back off and put walls up and just withdraw into myself. And so the hardest part for me has been to be in the moment. It's like everything hits me on used to be a couple day delay. Now it's, I hope, shorter than that. But the hardest part for me is to be present in the moment and choose to engage or not to engage, because right now I'm still at checking out and then coming back later and dealing with it. So that's just an ongoing challenge for me.
You just got me in a way I did not expect, because for you to say that you put up walls, you put distance between, that's something I've got to look at in me. I've got chill bumps right now. I'm sure that that's a way of being that I have, because my instant thought and my typical thing and what I had to work on and allow the program to work on me was to get that pause instead of reacting immediately, instead of lashing out. But gratefully, I've gained that pause that allows me to take a beat, or maybe 5, and then consider my response.
So I think that the answer to the question is continually going to meetings rather than backing away, so that I'm reminded that my mind is out of control and I don't control the world and I am not God. And I have to be reminded of that. And that's why I continually go to meetings, even though I've been sober for a long time.
the hard part for me that seems to come so easily to other people is the socializing before and after the meeting, because that's spontaneous. That's terrifying to me, to like go to the barbecues, go to the roundups, do all that stuff, be around crowds. That's really been one of my big challenges, is coming out of my shell and being a part of.
That's still a challenge for me too. You know, the before and after the meeting, like immediately, especially immediately after the meeting, quite frankly, feels kind of like a cocktail party to me. I don't know what to do in those situations. I'm not the small talker and all of that. And one of the things, thank God, that has been given to me by several people over the years is to find how I can be of service.
That's really helpful. I know for me, I really enjoyed being coffee maker and having the key and being the first one there to say hi to everybody as they came in. It's so much more intimidating to me to walk into a full room.
Yeah.
And God is in the bottom of that coffee pot.
All right, Krusty.
That's it.
Karen, thanks so much for joining us today.
Indeed. It's been a real pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who supports this podcast with a subscription to the Grapevine magazine, in print or in the Grapevine app. Your support makes the half-hour variety hour possible. I'm at the very wit's end. Cuckoo.
A new AA was having trouble sleeping because he felt guilty for cheating on his income taxes. His sponsor suggested he make amends, so he sent the IRS the following letter.
Okay, let's see. Dear Sir or Madam, I cheated on my taxes and cannot sleep until I make amends. Enclosed is a check for $500. Sincerely, a reformed citizen. Oh. P.S. If I still can't sleep, I'll send you the balance.
It's really not that funny. Thanks for joining us. The AA Grapevine Half-Hour Variety Hour is posted every Monday and is produced by AA Grapevine, Inc. We don't speak for AA as a whole. We share the experience, strength, and hope of members to help others recover from alcoholism. All things Grapevine are available at aagrapevine.org, including our app and how to get in touch with us. Find us on Instagram and YouTube. If you want to know more about AA, visit aa.org or search online for Alcoholics Anonymous and your city.